Honorable Minister of State for Integration, Honorable Ministers here present, Honorable representatives and heads of political parties in Rwanda, Excellencies, ambassadors and the high commissioners here present, comrades that have been with us in the Congress of Pan-African Movement, welcome back for this session. We shall start by doing it the Pan-African way. When I say Africa, we all raise our fists, pump the air, and say unite in spirit and body. Africa, unite. Africa, unite. Africa, unite. We shall have to be united to survive. Today we have had an opportunity to craft two important events: the Congress of Pan-African Movement Rwanda chapter and celebrating the African Liberation Day. It was fostered on us by circumstances, but also we realized the opportunities. As we are holding our Congress deliberations, there was internal mechanism put in place to strengthen ourselves, and I want to announce to those who are here that I have been re-elected for the next 3 years to work with you. We have, as I said, we got the recommendation from the Congress to strengthen the party, the movement at the grassroots, in the primary schools, secondary schools, and universities. We shall keep on with the leadership development programs that we have already started. We have worked out a mechanism to strengthen the movement financially, and at the same time, how to link effectively the different generations that are still living in our country. So in this session, we would want to really dwell deeper on integration and education and intergeneration, moving towards the Africa we need and we want. And at this juncture, let me call upon our guest of honor to address us and keep Africa united. Africa united. Let's welcome the minister.
It is a great honor and privilege to join you in celebrating Africa Liberation Day, a day of profound historical significance that continues to inspire Africans and people of African descent around the world. Let me begin by thanking the Pan-African Movement Rwanda chapter in partnership with the African Group of Ambassadors for organizing this important event. I also wish to commend the panelists and participants for the rich and thoughtful discussions shared today morning. This day is a moment to honor the brave men and women who fought for the liberation of our continent. Their commitment to justice and freedom laid the foundation for the sovereignty and the unity we value today. But African Liberation Day is also a time to reflect on our responsibilities as Africans to sustain and build upon the legacy they left for us. Liberation Day must go beyond the end of colonial rule. It means real and tangible freedom in every dimension, including political, economic, social, and cultural life. It challenges us to strengthen African solidarity, to deepen regional integration, and to uphold the values that define our identity as a people, especially the spirit of Ubumuntu. The theme of this year reminds us that we all have a part to play in driving the development of our continent's aspirations. The story of Rwanda has shown that each generation has the power to shape the course of history. The tragic path our country followed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi was largely shaped by youth. But it was also youth who brought about a new chapter and are now leading the country's transformation. This is not unique to Rwanda. Many liberation struggles across Africa share the same truth. Today, Africa is a continent of young people. In Rwanda, 65% of the population is under the age of 30. Projections indicate that Africans will soon represent 1/3 of the global workforce. These young people will drive innovation, create jobs, and unlock new possibilities across the world. Our priority must be to equip them with the skills, tools, and opportunities they need to succeed in today's global economy and to leapfrog our collective development. We cannot afford to see more African youth risking their lives to reach their other continents in search of opportunities. The pastures are greener where they are watered. It is our responsibility to invest in Africa, to build inclusive economies, and to retain our most valuable resource, that is our people. At the same time, the older generations must also be part of this effort. They must understand the vision and the direction of our development agenda and lend their wisdom and experience. Continental frameworks like the African Continental Free Trade Area and Agenda 2063 show us where we want to go. But the journey will only be successful if every generation and every sector of our society contributes. I therefore encourage each of you to remain engaged, to keep learning, and to continue working towards the future that we all seek. Each one of us has a role to play in Africa's continued liberation and transformation. Let me close my remarks by thanking you once again for your presence today and for your unwavering commitment to African unity, progress, and dignity. Happy Liberation Day. Africa, Africa.
Members of the Pan-African Movement Rwanda chapter, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings and happy Africa Liberation Day to you all. I would like to start my remarks by thanking the chairperson of the Pan-African Movement, Rwanda chapter, Comrade Protais Musoni, for inviting me to this 62nd Africa Liberation Day and for giving me the distinct honor of addressing this August Assembly as keynote speaker. Those of you who had received the initial program of the event, we're expecting to see and listen to a much more distinguished and experienced public speaker in the person of Dr. Donald Kaberuka as guest speaker. Unfortunately, he was not able to be with us today, and the chairman has given me the huge task of filling the gap of his absence. I apologize to those of you who are already disappointed with missing the opportunity to hear from Dr. Donald Kaberuka's inspiring perspective on this year's theme of Africa Liberation Day, i.e., intergenerational approach to development, a panacea for stability and economic independence of Africa. A theme that I find to be an invitation to all of us to think of Africa liberation not as an event of the past, but as a living process that must evolve across generations. Honorables, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa Liberation Day is a day that should be sacred for all Africans, a day that should serve as an opportunity to reflect on our past struggles to liberate our continent and to salute and honor the fathers of our country's independence. These heroes of Africa's independence were only armed with the conviction of the justness of their cause, as well as their courage, resilience, and readiness to pay the ultimate price. Yet, they were able to face and defeat extremely brutal and heavily armed colonial powers.
May I make a little correction? I'm the acting dean of the African Group of Ambassadors, because the dean of the African Group is the ambassador of Senegal, His Excellency Doudou Sow, who is not around. Thank you. Honorable Minister of State for Regional Integration, Honorable Chairperson of Pan-African Movement in Rwanda, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is with the profound honor and the spirit of Pan-African, with the spirit of Pan-African unity, that I address this assembly today as a representative of the African Group of Ambassadors in Rwanda to celebrate the 62nd anniversary of Africa Liberation Day. This date is not only a historical milestone, but a call to reflect on our past, our present, and the future we wish to build as a continent. The historical significance of Africa Liberation Day. 62 years ago, the founding fathers of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, now the African Union, AU, met in Addis Ababa with a common purpose: to free the continent from colonial rule and promote African unity. Figures such as Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Julius Nyerere, and Patrice Lumumba dreamed of a united Africa, sovereign, capable, and determining its own destiny. Today, the sacrifice of those who came before us and gave their lives for our freedom, we honor them by fostering a culture of mentorship that bridges generations. By facilitating dialogue between current and past leaders and emerging talent, we ensure that wisdom is passed on and the new perspectives are infused, empowering the next generation to lead with purpose and integrity. Africa Day transcends national boundaries, symbolizing our collective identity and aspiration. Those who have joined us yesterday can witness that there was only Africans on the marathon we did yesterday. It is an opportune moment for African nations to collaborate, sharing resources and platforms that foster mentorship, creating initiatives that can nurture emerging leaders, creating a network of informed and committed individuals ready to drive regional integration and development. The spirit of liberation celebrated on Africa Day is a powerful catalyst of intergenerational dialogue. It reminds us that our freedom was achieved through collective efforts and vision. By celebrating Africa Day, we cultivate a sense of responsibility among young Africans to uphold the values of unity, justice, and progress that our predecessors fought for. It is therefore worth celebrating African youth, the architects who will shape the future of our continent, to lead by uplifting those around us so that we can create a strong Africa in its unity. However, it is not only their responsibility, but also that of ours and of future generations to endorse the values and the vision of what we want Africa to be, by taking responsibility of our sovereignty and good governance, as well as to strengthen our ties by fostering cooperation among African states. It is also essential to urge our diaspora, especially our young people, to recognize the inestimable value of experiences and knowledge acquired outside of the continent. May every young African in the diaspora see themselves not only as a child of Africa, but also as an agent of its rebirth, bringing innovation, sustainable solutions, and a firm commitment to the development of our continent. Rwanda has a lighthouse of hope and transformation. As we celebrate Africa Day, we also celebrate Rwanda, a living proof that an African renaissance is possible. After one of the darkest chapters in our history, this country has not only risen, but has become a model of reconciliation, effective governance and innovation. We recognize all the commitments by His Excellency President Paul Kagame in its implementation of the objective of the African Union. regional integration through the East African Community and the African Union is a testament to Rwandans' commitment to Pan-Africanism. Your investment in technology, women's empowerment, and human development inspire the entire continent. The current challenge and the call for collective action. However, despite progress, Africa still faces challenges. Conflict and instability in some regions, which requires African solution through mechanisms such as the African Peace and Security Architecture. Economic independence, where we continue to export raw materials without added value, instead of industrializing our economies. Excuse me. Climate change, which threatens food security and the livelihoods of millions. Unemployed youth, despite being the youngest continent in the world. Pan-Africanism cannot be just a talk, it must be action. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a crucial step, but we need infrastructure, industrial policies, and investment in technical education. The role of the African Group of Ambassadors and the future we want. As heads of diplomatic mission in Rwanda, our African Group is committed to strengthening South-South cooperation by promoting intra-African infrastructure and investment, supporting peace and security, learning from examples such as the Rwanda reconciliation process, advocating for a united African voice in global forums. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I would like, on behalf of the African Group of Ambassadors, to acknowledge the opportunity given to us by the government of Rwanda to celebrate this momentous event. We also would like to congratulate the Pan-African Movement Rwanda for its significant impact on the celebration program. May I also congratulate and thanks to the media, which is the responsible to spread what discussion we had here and how the program of celebration is taking part. May this day remind us that, as Kwame Nkrumah said, the liberation of Africa will only be complete when the continent is politically united. We wish us all a happy and joyful Africa Day. Murakoze cyane.